Hey, it's Karen again. Outside, which actually I don't want to be. Um, it is like 98 degrees here today, and I'm standing in front of the tree because I need a little shade. Um, okay, let's see. I left off basically just talking some basics about my agoraphobia. Whoop! I'm using a selfie stick for the first time, so sorry. It's a little wobbly. Um, I think I had my first panic attack when I was pregnant with my first child, and I was like 19 years old. So it goes back way back then. And it wasn't something that continued at that point. It was just something that happened like very rarely on occasion. It wasn't until I had my second child, about 2.5 years later, that I went to a bar with a friend, and it was just so hot in there and so cramped in there. I had, the worst panic attack I had ever experienced. Before then, it was just little mild ones where I felt like I couldn't breathe. Um, but this one was to the point where I needed to get the heck out of Dodge. She wouldn't take me, so I had to call somebody up to come and get me and take me home. And as I said, I was pregnant with my second child. I hope I don't get bit by these stupid ants, the fire ants that we have down here. And my face is breaking out massively from this heat. Anyhow, so after I got picked up and dropped off at home, I calmed down. And that was then the pattern. I began, it became to where I would go in a car. I would have to open up a window because I just felt like I couldn't breathe. And then I felt claustrophobic in the car. Um, I would go to a store and I would have to leave if the line was too long. Um, Little things like that. And it got to the point where it was just easier for me to stay at home rather than go anywhere and have to turn around and go back home. And basically, I felt like I was disappointing everybody because of myself. It was horrible. It was emotionally taxing to be in that fight or flight mode all the time, all the time. It I couldn't even sleep. Heck, I still have sleeping problems now, but that may be for other reasons. One being my thyroid issue. I had my thyroid removed about 5 months ago. Anyways, back to the story. So I had heard, and at that time I was not diagnosed. I had heard that on a show, I believe it was called Good Morning Cleveland, um, and they were talking about agoraphobia, and they were talking about the symptoms. And I was just like, whoa, this sounds like me. I wonder if this is what's happening with me. It felt like it hit home. And so I went to a doctor. I don't know how I did it, to be honest with you, but I went to a doctor, and he prescribed me Buspar. That was the very first thing that had ever been prescribed, as well as vitamin K shots. And then, oddly enough, he said to me, to lower my stress level, oh, go have sex. I'm like, what? How? What? He's like, oh yeah, sex is natural endorphins, and or I don't know. It just, it brings up that happy hormone. I'm like, okay, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, it made sense, but yet it didn't make sense. It was very odd. So I went on like that for a long period of time, and my child was born, and I had a boy, and I was with the father, and he was in the Marines, and he would go on his little weekends or his because he was in the reserves, or his 2-week ATD, and I would freak out. I couldn't handle him not being there. I hated being by myself. It was horrible. One time it was so bad that in heat like this that I'm experiencing right now, um, there was no way you would catch me outside doing anything. I actually had heat stroke from being, or heat exhaustion, it wasn't quite the stroke level, from being inside. I had stomach cramps like you wouldn't believe, and I was put on medicine to relieve those, because I wouldn't even leave the house because the house was so hot, but I wouldn't leave. So from there, it just was to the point where my mother would come over and she would go grocery shopping for me. I would cut out pictures of the Sunday ads and show her, hey, would you get me this at Kmart? You know, that kind of thing. This shirt, I would like this shirt. I never went anywhere and did anything. And if I did, it was very prepared mentally and with medicine. So I'll leave it there, but that, I guess, was at pretty much the worst, because that was before I was even diagnosed and before I got any actual real help. So, okay, I will sign off for now. I need to get back in the house where it's cool because I am sweating and I hate sweating. It makes me miserable. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.